Mike here from Scuderia Audio, and today we're going to be removing and then reinstalling the center console on a 458. Now, you may need to run some speaker wire from the boot or the trunk of your 458 where your car stereo amplifier is installed back to the subwoofer, which basically mounts against the firewall, so you'll need to remove the center console. And also, there are two varieties of the 458. Those with the engine access panel that you can unbolt and remove from the firewall, like the 360s and the 430s, and then the later model ones that have no engine access panel. So the ones without the engine access panel, there's a special bracket that we manufacture that needs to be bolted to existing rib nuts that are on the floor right in front of the firewall. So you'll need to remove that piece of carpet in order to get that bracket in there, bolted on, and then place the carpet right above it. You don't need to cut or drill into the carpet, but you do need to remove it to install that bracket. And to remove the carpet, it's better if you remove the center console first. Now, if you've watched my video on how to remove and reinstall the center console on the 360 or 430, and then watch this video, you'll realize that it's much easier with the 458. I mean, the 430 procedure, it's straightforward. It's a bit of a procedure. For example, the tools you'll need would be a 13mm socket on a ratchet, a 3mm Allen wrench, a butter knife, a number 2 screwdriver, a 17mm open-end wrench, a wire cutter, and a tie wrap. For the 458 procedure, here are the tools you need. 2 Allen wrenches. That's it. A 3mm and a 5mm. Really straightforward. Okay, well, we have an awesome blue Italia on deck, so let's absolutely go play with the car! Okay, we have our gorgeous Italia with the carbon fiber seats, love it. And we're going to remove the center console. So we'll refocus the camera and we'll start at the front and work our way back. Okay, first we want to start with this gear cluster module. So we get our 3mm Allen wrench and we just break these 4 loose. Then we take them out of there. The back ones grab a lot more threads than the front ones for some reason. It's okay. Okay, so there's no pop or any of those fasteners. It just lifts right out of there. Then you grab the one sole connector, and remember, it's one of these little things with the tab. You press the tab down and it pops right out. Okay, so now we're going to move a little bit forward and we're going to remove this cup holder thing. Okay, so again, we grab our 3mm Allen. There's 2 Allen head machine screws. So we remove those guys. Now this thing is also held on by those pop things. So you want to get your hand in here and you want to get under it and you want to lift up. See? And it just pops right out. Okay, so we'll refocus the camera and then we'll concentrate on the back part. Okay, for this section near the back, we have this nice molded Alcantara covered piece of plastic that's in this trench. Now this thing's held in there by several of those pop things. It's really hard to get out. I mean, you really can't grab it and get enough force, get enough traction on it to pull it out of there. So after fiddling with it for a while, I realized the best way to get at this is from underneath. So you want to get something thin but really stiff, like a little screwdriver. And you want to come down here to right about where the 2 pieces of carpet overlap.
And then you want to just get your screwdriver in there, and you just want to wedge it in there between the leather of the center console and the carpet, and push it upward. And you want to try to keep the screwdriver vertical. You keep pushing it upward, and then you'll start feeling some resistance. That means that the end of the screwdriver is pressing against that hard plastic underneath there. So you just push up on it with a bit of force. See, and it just pops out of there on that side. So we're going to remove the screwdriver. We're going to go over to this side. We're going to snake him in there. Keep it vertical and do the same thing. Feel resistance. Push up. Okay. Now we can hold it enough to get our fingers under there. Take the screwdriver out. Now we can gently get under there, and the whole thing just pops right out. Okay, now there's one connector, and again, it's one of those little things with the tab, so you just push on the tab and the connector pops right out. So let's refocus the camera, and then we can take off the remaining fasteners, and this whole center console will pull right out. Okay, so the next step is basically removing all of the remaining fasteners with our 5mm Allen wrench, and this will lift right out. So there's basically 4 pairs of machine screws. If we start from the back, right, we have these 2, and then moving forward, we have these 2, moving forward, we have these 2, and then finally way in the front, there's 2 right up there near the front. So let's start at the front, and we're going to remove these. I probably should have a shorter Allen wrench for this, but this is one of those nice ball-shaped tips that where you can get it at an angle and not screw up the fasteners. So that's nice. So we'll just remove those 2 guys. Then we'll move back, and we'll remove these 2 guys. Okay, then we'll remove these 2. Then our last pair. Okay, now we should be able to just, if we can zoom the camera out, we should be able to just grab this whole thing and see it lifts right out. So I'm going to set it down, we're going to refocus the camera, because when we lift it out of there, there's a bunch of electrical fasteners underneath this center section that we're going to want to unplug. So we'll refocus the camera, and then we'll do the final step. Okay, so we're ready to just grab the whole center console and gently lift it straight up. And then we want to flip it over. Okay, and then we're just going to disconnect the remaining connectors. Now the first one is a little bit tricky because, right, we have the tab, but when we unplug it, the part that's connected to the center console itself is on that rail, so you just have to kind of like just, oh, you gotta be careful and hold that. We want to slide that off of that rail, okay? Then we have the black connector. Same thing, push down on the tab. Remove him. And then the last connector, this medium-sized white one. Push on the tab, disconnect him. And that is it. And we can just take this up and out of the car. Okay, so we have our center console in hand, and we're going to gently move it into position above where it's supposed to sit, and then we'll flip it over and we'll connect our connectors. So we have our white medium one, We have our small black one. Where'd he go? And then we have our large white one. Right, this one goes to, remember, this one goes to the front module. That one goes to the back module. So we have our big white one. We plug him in first, right? Then we want to kind of sort of lower the center console down with the connector until we get enough slack in the wire where we can slide it under that, on that little mounting slide thing. We'll turn him. There we go. Now we'll slide the center console in place, and we'll make sure that the wires are all inside and that we can see the connector in the front and we can see the connector in the back, and then you just set it down and just line up those 8 holes. Oh, that connector needs to be tucked in. That's better. Everything's tucked in. This guy's ready to go. That guy's ready to go. It looks like all the holes are lined up. So then we just get our 5mm Allen again. Then we just proceed to fasten all these in. So for brevity, I'm just going to go ahead and do that, and then we'll come right back with the camera and show how to install the final 2 pieces. Okay, so we're just tightening up the final 2 of our 8 5mm. Okay, then we want to go way up in the front with our little cup holder. Remember, it has the 2 pops in the front, so we just want to lay it in place and then pop it in place. Put the 2 machine screws into place. We want to get our 3mm wrench, and we want to tighten those 2 guys. Okay, then we want to take our gear shifter console, plug in his plug, gently put him in place. And we want to tighten his 4 fasteners. And then lastly, in the back here, we want to grab our nice Alcantara piece. Remember, he's just a bunch of pop, so we just want to plug his plug in, put him in place, pop him in, and we are done.
Okay, well, that's about it. Now, this video applies to both the Italia and the 458 Spider. Okay, well, have a great day.